this next one. Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gigabyte StarsWar Killer Tournament number 6, round of 32, day 1, here on IC Cup TV. Once again, I am Prodigy, and with me is Orb. And we've got just a little match going on here for you guys. It's just a little game in the round of 32 here between some guy named Sase versus oGs.NaDa. I'm not 100% sure how to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard it spoken before, so I'm not really sure on that one. But
just kidding.
Hopefully these unknown players will do really well. No, all right. Obviously NaDa, of course. I mean, I feel so dumb saying needs no introduction, because that in itself is essentially an introduction, but. You know, one of the most famous players of all time, maybe just under Boxer. Of course, as the stat says, most consistent Brood War professional ever. He was just a beast in Brood War, absolutely destroying everybody. Was Bonjour for quite a while there. Sase, I don't know quite as much about. I mean, Warcraft 3 player, I wasn't big on the Warcraft 3 scene. Do you know anything about Sase and about his playstyle?
I've seen him a few times. Just on the ESL streams and stuff, playing in European events and stuff, like we can see there on the screen. It says he's done well in multiple open events, such as like Zotac stuff, or Zotac Cups, and stuff like that. So I've seen him in a few ESL Go for SE2 events and stuff like that. And I'm not 100% sure if he made it in through a qualifier or an invite or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure about the backstory, but I do know that he is a very strong player nonetheless. Like it says there on the screen, a very strong former Warcraft 3 Night Elf professional player. And what do you know, Warcraft 3 player playing Protoss, the really macro-heavy race, I would have to say, is your units get very cost-effective when they are microed correctly. So, the perfect race for any Warcraft player, at least from what I've seen, unless, of course, you're Moon, and then you go absolutely insane when you play the Zerg. That guy's just crazy. And of course, he is part of one of the most elite teams in esports, Meet Your Makers. For those of you guys who really only follow StarCraft 2, mYm is a team that has been around since the beginning of time. I think Meet Your Makers was still around back when I first started getting into esports, back in like 2005 with Counter-Strike 1.6 and Quake and stuff like that. They still had players back then, and they've been going strong ever since. And this is just one of a few players that they have here in StarCraft 2. And of course, he's going to be going up against, like you said, somebody who needs no introduction, oGs.NaDa. And he used to be a Bonjour, so, you know, for those of you guys who have never heard the term before, what Bonjour means is basically you smash absolutely everybody, no matter what, forever at StarCraft. That's like the most simple way to break it down.
Yeah, wasn't didn't the original technical qualifications that people essentially made up was winning a certain number of OSLs and MSLs, like 3 OSLs and 1 MSL or something like that. Unfortunately, I can't remember the exact numbers, but he did win a ridiculous number of tournaments back in Brood War that got him that title, and is pretty acclaimed, pretty worldwide. I think he's pretty well known in the community.
Yeah, well-known, I think, would be an understatement. It'd be pretty hard to be a part of the StarCraft community and not have heard of NaDa before, at least if you follow pro gaming really often, and as much as you can. And, of course, NaDa's been making a huge splash in StarCraft 2. And with that, I don't think we should delay the games for too much longer. It's going to be Terran versus Protoss, and once again, the first game is going to be on Xel'Naga Caverns. So why don't we get that game loaded up and ready to go. As I got it loaded, just got to rewind it back to 0 seconds as we are casting these from replays. As I've seen a lot in chat right now, for some of you guys who are wondering, these games aren't live. They were played and broadcasted in Chinese as Gigabyte. The Gigabyte StarsWar tournament is a Chinese tournament, and we're doing the English coverage. So these games are still pretty fresh, hot off the press, and we're going to get mYm.Sase versus oGs.NaDa underway in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, great. In the bottom left here, dropping down, we have oGs.NaDa as our blue Terran. And in the top right, we have mYm.Sase as our red Protoss. So Xel'Naga Caverns, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in this tournament, of course. We've seen it time and time again in pretty much every tournament. It's a pretty well-known map. One of the most, I guess, standard used maps in StarCraft 2, would you say? Standardly used?
Definitely. The reason, or a few of the reasons why it's been used so much is, of course, it gives players the opportunity to pretty much execute whatever strategy they want. There's literally not too many things that you can't do on this map besides try to expand 4 times at the beginning of the game and think you'll still be able to hold even one of them, just with the way the expansions are laid out and things like that. But proxies, macro play, cheese play, it's still, anything goes here on Xel'Naga Caverns. It should have like a little slogan when you walk through the gate before you get to go on the Xel'Naga Caverns rides. There's this wonderful ride called Jump Into the Pit that has electricity and spikes all over it, or Break Down Destructible Rocks featuring Dustin Browder, or Look Out at the rest of the map with the Xel'Naga Tower, or Take an Expansion and Scout Your Opponent. It sounds like a bunch of it sounds like a fantastic amusement park. I would love to go there someday.
Yeah, I mean, there's like cotton candy that tastes like mineral fields, man. Why wouldn't you want that? It's like rock candy.
Yeah, you can realize what it's finally like to be a drone.
Yeah. Why do you think they sit on those? They sit on those minerals all day. It's tasty. It's good stuff. So Sase, of course, getting that single gas up so far. Completely standard play for both players, except for the fact that we actually don't see gas up for Nada at this point. So you think he might actually be going for like a gasless expansion, something like that?
I actually think I've seen Nada do something like that pretty often. We might see him throw down another barracks, but no, it does look like he is saving up for another command center. And unless your opponent is actually going to try and do an insanely aggressive 4 warp gate, and if he actually manages to warp the Zealots in on the other side of the ramp, then this build is actually pretty safe in this matchup, unless, of course, you're going up against a player who's already proxied 2 gateways in your natural expansion, in which case you're pretty much dead. But
yeah,
Nada does have his SCV running around the base of Sase right now, and that does mean that he's going to have a really good idea of what's going on, and he'll know whether he needs to throw down any bunkers or anything like that. We see right now Sase just continuing to chrono boost out probes rather than his warp gate or anything like that. So I'm definitely kind of curious to see if Sase is actually just going to follow this up with a 1-gate expansion of his own, or if he's actually going to go for any more tech. He did take both of his geysers, so tech definitely not out of the question at this point.
Yeah, I can't imagine going for a 1-gate expansion off of 2 gas. You can do a build where you get 2 gateways and 2 gas. You'll have, oh, there go 3 gateways. So he's going to be doing a 3-gate expansion most likely, unless he drops down some type of robo pretty soon. But doing this 3-gate expansion with probably some sentries in there. Oh, probe is moving out? No, never mind. I thought they might be making that robotics facility. But now he is chrono boosting the cybernetics core, and I was really liking earlier when he was just chrono boosting the probes. I love seeing Pro players do that. You can get yourself such a good economy, especially when you go in for a relatively quick expansion like Sase is, as he just dropped it down. It's really nice to get that probe count bolstered. But I guess he's a little bit worried, which is a little bit strange considering he saw the gasless build from Nada. But I guess he's a little bit worried. He wanted to chrono boost out that cybernetics core twice now to be able to have it right as these gateways finish and start warping in units immediately. But I don't think he needed to do that. I feel like he could have just kept producing probes, kept chrono boosting probes, have a better economy, since clearly Nada is in no position to be aggressive for the next minute or two at least.
And it does look like Sase is going to be going for a 3-gate expand and using his 3 warp gates to apply a ton of pressure to oGs.NaDa's base, and just really prevent him from moving out of his main base safely. And if he's able to keep this up for a really long time, then he's going to be able to secure himself quite a huge lead. I've seen players like Huck at MLG do the same kind of build and keep the Terran player in their base for like 13 minutes and then just run them over just with that first 3 warp gates. But no, he falls back into the John's hallway of common knowledge, and that will allow NaDa to sneak out, but he realized that there's too many units here, so NaDa is going to try to run back in. No force field goes down to try and catch any of those units. Instead, Sase is just going to push all the way in. SCVs are going to come off the line, try and hold some of this off, and that will mean that Sase is going to try to get out of there. We see that NaDa did focus down that sentry there so that he doesn't have to worry about force fields, and at this point he's going to be feeling a little bit more comfortable not needing to deal with that kind of play. And Sase realized that now with no force fields or even guardian shields, he does have to warp in 3 more of those just to try and keep the pressure on. But no, NaDa is going to be able to get down the bottom of the advanced force shields, going down just in the nick of time to keep some of these units back. And that will allow Sase to clean up the remainder of the forces there on the ground. NaDa is going to have to pull back and regroup a little bit. So this containment still might be able to go on. Sase might be able to hold on to this for a little bit longer while he gets his economy up and running. And NaDa's actually got an SCV hiding here next to some of these doodads. Kind of interesting play there.
Yeah, I mean, this play by Sase is, you know, doing so well, and part of it is because NaDa is unable to even put add-ons on these 2 barracks here. He just doesn't have the time to be able to wait for the add-ons to get that production going. So he's dealing with a lot less production than, you know, what he would want to be dealing with right now, which is why he's, you know, banking about, you know, 600 total resources between minerals and gas, because he just simply can't spend it with the production facilities that he has. And now with these force fields, I mean, Sase has 4 sentries right here. He can just keep warping them in if he wants, and he can just keep NaDa in here until he starts getting, you know, some medevacs out, some, like, a much larger amount of units. You're not going to be able to break that out with those force fields for quite a while with just infantry.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit close to that ramp so that he can run down there if he ever catches an opportunity to do so. Just making sure that he has access to everything, that all of the potential options. Force field's going to go down a little bit preemptive there. He's only going to catch 2 units. He might have been able to get a few more there. But still,
well, all he really needs to do right now is delay NaDa. So I think just getting just a couple units is probably the smart way to do it. If you lose even a single sentry because you let too many units out, all of a sudden this build, you basically immediately have to fall back. You're not going to be able to get the next wave of units that comes out. So he's got to be really careful with these units, and I think just letting out just a tiny amount at a time so he doesn't even lose any health on any of his units is a pretty smart play. And NaDa still on 1 base. I mean, yeah, he has 2 orbital commands producing mules, but still on 1 base at this point in the game, you know, 10 minutes in with much less economy than Sase has. It's pretty bad. And I mean, he's floating that factory over there. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, whenever you see a floating factory, of course, know that they're not producing anything out of it and that they're only producing out of the starport. But he's going to try to use that to scout and make sure that Sase has not taken a 3rd.
Yeah, and now with the Colossus Den done, aka the robotics bay, the Colossus production has begun. Extended thermal lances at about 50%, and a second Colossus being chrono boosted out. And oh, actually, it's not getting chrono boosted. Oh, it was getting chrono boosted. I'm a triple liar. But NaDa realizes that at this point, Colossus definitely a very real threat to his army composition. He's been kept in his base for quite some time. Is definitely a realistic consideration that there could be a few Colossus out on the field. He's going to take that and immediately start pumping out Vikings after he gets a pair of medevacs out on the field just to repair his, or just to heal his units and keep them in tip-top shape for the next engagement. He's already got 2 on the field, with 2 more on the way. Scouting Factory is going to fly right over that Colossus, but somehow not tip it over, despite the fact that it flew right into it. And I still think to this day, you should be able to fly buildings into Colossus and tip them over, because that'd be just so funny.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be so funny.
But that factory actually did quite a lot there. Not only saw basically Sase's entire unit composition besides the 1 Colossus that was being hidden, but it confirmed his worry about there being Colossi. He knows they are there now, and he also saw that forge upgrading. So now he knows the Protoss is going for upgrades at this time, and he can basically gauge his play off that. So that type of scouting is going to be really beneficial for him, and not, of course, already ahead on the upgrades at 1-0 right now. But just such smart play from NaDa coming out of here, knowing to go for those Vikings before he even saw the Colossi or, you know, robotics bay or even robotics facility at all. That was definitely a great move here. that's going to help him out in the mid game. Meanwhile, Protoss is taking his third right now, and he's been up between 10 and 15 harvesters above NaDa basically this entire time, thanks to the advantage he had from keeping NaDa in his base for so long. So economically, Sase is in a pretty good position. I mean, this is his game to lose, essentially.
Yeah, and the mules definitely were helping out NaDa a little bit, but still, I mean, being cut off of your natural expansion, being stuck on one base for so long is just such a bad thing to have happen to you. We can see that it was really showing for quite some time, and, well, Sase's tech is quite far ahead from where NaDa's is right now.
Got a Warp Prism out.
Pretty much just bio, and the Warp Prism is, I believe,
and he has a Dark Shrine,
Templar getting dropped into the main base.
Yeah, he's already queued it over. He's going to bring it over into the main of NaDa, and he does not have any turrets anywhere except for at his natural. So, this dropping of the DTs as opposed to moving them in the main base is definitely a great move. However, NaDa moving his entire infantry ball here up front. Did he? Yeah, I guess he saw that Warp Prism with that SCV. Wow, and these Vikings are going to be able to go intercept it. So, great play by NaDa there. Could have been a lot of trouble if those DTs got into his main base.
Yeah, and now he's going to continue setting up a position here in the middle of the map. NaDa needs to make sure that he engages in very open terrain to negate some of the the effect of the force fields, as well as the Colossus Splash. Attacking through here would be pretty risky at this point. There are a lot of Dark Templar mixed into this army composition. If NaDa does not catch wind of that, then he will be in a lot of trouble. If we take a quick look at how many scans he's got to work with right now, he's been very consistent with his muling, and is going to be adding on a Ghost Academy right now, and just continuing to move around the map. Sase right now in the lead with 171 supply, and he's going to currently start pushing forward right now. I think that was the only scan that NaDa had access to for at least for a few seconds there. Dark Templar are going to do a ton of damage. Charge lots closing the distance very quickly. Colossus doing insane amounts of damage as usual. These Dark Templar are the nail in the coffin in this fight, as there's just no mana or no energy for NaDa to throw any of these scans down, and his Bioforce got completely ripped to shreds. Supply counts right now 117 for Sase and 80 for oGs.NaDa, and it's getting lower and lower as these units get chased down and while they run back to their natural expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I think NaDa would have lost that fight anyways, simply due to the Colossi, and his Vikings took so long to take out those Colossi that he was really in a pretty bad position there. But yeah, like you said, the DTs were the nail in the coffin. Once those DTs came in, he didn't have any detection. There was really nothing he could do about it from that point. So, I mean, he does, as you said, he has that Ghost Academy. He could get Ghosts for EMP on the DTs, but we still don't see him moving towards any type of check choice like a Raven. We don't see him even trying. Oh, there we do. I was about to say, don't even see him trying to get a third base. Now he has just started, but he's got to know how far behind he is in this game. He knows Sase has a third and has had it for quite some time now, and he just got absolutely walked over in that fight. Like, it wasn't even close. So, not sure. NaDa's gonna have to pull off something amazing. I mean, he's got all these medevacs. I would love to see him go for some crazy drops. But here comes Sase with the attack. NaDa's army looks extremely small in comparison, even without any Colossi in there. So he's got to be extremely careful that he doesn't overextend and lose this army again.
And it does look like Sase is just going to fall back with his advantage. He knows that he's in an excellent position, and when you're ahead, just get farther ahead. That's exactly what Sase is going to do. As he does break down the rocks and go for his gold expansion here, and just continue to move around the map with the amount of map control that he has right now. Dark Templar are looking for any way that they can do damage, and a Stray Immortal almost walks into the natural expansion there, but Sase is going to catch that in time. And as an observer here as well, just to spot any potential movement coming out of NaDa, Dark Templar blocking, again, any potential fourth expansions. And right now we see level 3 weapons at about 25% completion. And if we take a look at NaDa's upgrades, we see him only at level 1 armor as well as weapons. So the upgrade advantage definitely in favor of Sase. Army advantage definitely in favor of Sase. Expansions and economy definitely in favor of Sase. NaDa backed up against the corner right now. We're going to see an engagement right now. EMP is going down on the Zealots. Here come the Dark Templar once again. They have not been revealed by that EMP. Still no scans have gone down. Force fields going down, cutting off the remainder of oGs.NaDa's army. Scans finally going to go down. There are no units in range as Sase starts to pull back, and NaDa again being pushed up against the wall by Sase, is in a lot of trouble. More units warping in by Sase right now, and NaDa is going to push forward to try and take his gold expansion. Will not be successful. Huge concave right now coming out of Sase, going to completely run over NaDa as he pushes into the natural expansion. He will take game 1 as NaDa throws out the GG.
Wow. Taking down NaDa, pretty impressive. Sase played really well that whole game. But yet again, I mean, we can take this 20-minute game and you know, think about all the decisions that were made later in the game. But I feel like so much of that game came down to that force field contain. The fact that he just contained NaDa for so long hurt him so much. And I mean, he even had that pylon over at the 9 o'clock, so NaDa couldn't do anything tricky with like floating his command center over there and taking that base instead. And he fell so far behind that as long as Sase didn't make any mistakes from there, which he didn't, then, you know, he essentially couldn't lose with that much of an advantage. He just kept pushing that advantage, played very well and very safe. I mean, even when he was attacking there into NaDa's natural at the end, dropped those force fields down, he fell back, even though he had the much stronger army, because he just wanted to wait and get some more reinforcements and play it safe, not try to risk it going, you know, getting greedy, going for the kill, moving through your own force fields. So very, very solid play from Sase here. I'm extremely impressed with him.
Yeah, and again, could call him a little bit of a dark horse in this tournament. I know it's a term that I've already used this time, but I'm going to go ahead and use it again. Not a lot of information about this player. And of course, like we said, everybody knows NaDa. That should be like an esports TV show or something. I don't have a follow-up for that joke. It wasn't that funny. I'm sorry. But yeah, Sase, very, very solid play in that last game. And against a really quick expansion play, like what NaDa did, that 3-gate expand is practically a hard counter to it. I saw Huck do it, and I saw, I think, Tyler do it a few times as well, or another really good Protoss, during some of the MLG casts that we did here on IC Cup TV a little bit earlier, and the games went the exact same way. The Terran player went for a 1-racked expansion, or a really quick expansion. Protoss caught wind of it, made 3 warp gates, and just sat outside of his base, and the Terran just could not leave because of that force field.